Hello, knitting friends, and welcome to the Mama and a Manse podcast. My name is Christy, and I am your hostess today. You can find me on Ravelry, Gmail, and Instagram, and obviously YouTube as Mama and a Manse. There's a group over on Ravelry where you can ask any questions that you would like me to answer on the podcast. Talk about your goals. We're getting close to the end of the year. I should probably update that and see what I've actually accomplished. But you can share or start thinking about your 2019 goals. Right? Yeah, this is 18. My brain's a little bit fried. So today I am going to go over everything that I've been working on in the last, I think it's been a week and a half or 2 weeks, something like that. I did finish a few things since the last podcast. However, I did not block them. Everything that I have finished, I plan on taking to Vogue Knitting Live Minneapolis. And so we are leaving, well, I'm sorry, I do not seem to be doing this very smoothly today. We get on the bus on Thursday morning, but we live an hour away from all of the pickups, and so I've arranged with my friend Allison of Lofty Loops to ride with her, and so I'm actually going down there on Wednesday night after we do youth group. And spending the night with her so I can just get on the bus. And also, we have youth group that day. My son has speech in Omaha, which is also an hour away. And I am playing substitute principal on Tuesday and Wednesday for a couple hours during like the lunch and recess time. So I'm really hoping that my kids are good during that time, because I think it would be extremely awkward if they acted up and got sent to the principal during my time as principal. The reason that the principal will not be there is because our local school where my kids all attend, well, the ones that go to school, they are receiving the Blue Ribbon Award, and so she will be in DC with our superintendent and the lady that was my oldest 4th grade teacher. So anyways, fun bit of trivia that you probably did not need to know. So one of the things, so the whole point of that conversation was that I haven't blocked anything because I don't think that Wednesday I'm going to have time, or maybe even Tuesday, because I plan on watching lots of election results on Tuesday. So get out and vote. And Monday also is kind of full, and I have a craft group that night, and so I also need to pack stuff. Everything needs to be blocked so it can go to Minneapolis with me. And so I'm actually going to show you the unblocked things so that after I'm done podcasting, while it's uploading, I can block everything so it will be ready to pack. I have thought a lot about what I should take to Minneapolis for VKL, and I've only thought about that in terms of what projects I should take and what finished knitted objects I should take as well. I have thought nothing about actual clothes or coats or swimsuits or all that other stuff. So I should probably get on that. But anyways, something that you did see last time, I'll show you the 2 things that you saw last time as whips. And the first one, excuse the rustling, is the hemisphere hat. I am taking 2 classes at VKL from Sockmatician. I'm taking one that is shaping in double knitting, and the other one is lace in double knitting. So besides needing to do my homework for one of those classes, the other one doesn't have homework, I needed to learn how to double knit because I did not know, and it was required, and I figured it was something that I could learn in between when I registered and November 8th when I'm headed up there. And so that's why I had the yarn and the pattern for quite some time, because I had wanted to make this hat for my husband. And so I finished that. I made it in the Malabrigo Azules, which is the blue, Illusion, which is the brown, and Natural, which is the white, because I did not want to make the poles be brown. So this is Malabrigo Rios. Well, all three of them. Okay, so my finished hat looks like this. And it looks backwards on my camera, but I know it won't be later. So you've got Africa. No, you've got South America and the United States. And then over here we have Australia and Europe and Africa are here. It looks really strange on the phone, or on the phone, on the video. I did kind of throw in a little bit of polar. I waited until I got to the end of Alaska to do it, and I think I probably should have done it for a longer amount of time, but I wasn't really sure where the top starts because it's mostly water up there rather than the landmass that is Antarctica. I didn't want to make the poles brown just because I thought that was kind of a pessimistic thing about climate change. And so I did do the white, the natural color here. But as I was starting it and kind of looking through people's notes, I saw that some people had done that and then they kind of regretted it because you see the white. Like the white really jumps out, whereas the blue and the brown is, I mean, they're obviously different colors, but it's more subtle. It probably would stand out more if this was a lighter blue. But it's okay. I made the extra large size. I do have a problem with the, so the inside is also knit fabric, but it's the opposite and backwards. Because like this is Africa right here. Wait, is it? Yeah. This is Africa. So like Madagascar or whatever this island is actually like, it's facing the wrong way. I did try really hard to make the inside be tighter. And since my pearls are naturally looser, then I wrapped that yarn an extra time around my finger, but it's still, I can't really, I don't know that you would be able to see in there, but you can kind of, there's, I don't think you can tell, but you can feel kind of slack and lumps on the inside fabric. However, it's for my husband, and when he put it on, he said it stretched out and it felt fine. So I am going to take this with me. I look weird in hats. I am going to take it with me to Minneapolis just because it's the only double knitted thing that I have. I am pretty happy with how it turned out overall. I mean, for a first piece, yeah, I know how to knit, but this is a different thing where you're knitting two sides at once. It is extremely squishy. But it's the only like double knitting I have to wear in my classes, so I kind of wanted to take it, and it is supposed to be like 30 degrees for the highs when we're up there. So yeah, anyways. Yep. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that I did show you last time was the Make Your Own Luck. I'm not sure that I said who the hemisphere is. It is Lynette Net Holes. So anyways, then the other thing that I did show you last time, it was still on the needles, is the Make Your Own Luck Shawl by Lisa K. Ross, who is Paper Daisy Creations. This is part of the Point counterpoint. I can't remember what number they're on, 4 or 5, I think. So I did buy that whole thing and made this. I knit it on a 5, which is what it called for, and I was completely fine with it being overly drapey. So I dyed all of the yarn myself. It's in singles, and the ends are finally woven in. Whee! However, I don't know if you can tell. But this second to the last row right here is actually a different yarn. So everything else is singles that I dyed, and then I ran out after this row. So what I actually did was I went and grabbed some yarn that I had left over from making, well, actually this shawl was made in that, and also my long line cardigan. It is Twisted Tree in the Chaotic Neutral, and so I used that. It seemed like it was a decent match because I had to actually look at the plies to be able to tell, and I don't know if you can, but this is a single and that's not. So I did have to use some that wasn't mine, but I'm very much looking forward to getting this blocked and being able to wear it. My husband wove in all the ends for me, and I am so happy with it. I did think that the yarns looked a little bit too tonal and they had too many white spots when they were in the skein, but once they were caked up and those weren't all in the same spot, it is a beautiful tonal. I'm very happy with how it came out. I do like having the kind of some muted colors and then some really like crazy colors, and that it's more of a pinky purple instead of a red, because like this one was red in her shawl and I'm just not a red person, and so I really liked how this whole combination came together. You do lots of different stitches, but they're all easy. This was my Arizona travel project, and so I had gotten to about the orange the night before, just because I didn't want to cast on the plane, and I kind of wanted to get an idea of what the shawl was like, the pattern was like, before I'm in the air trying to figure it out. And then I think I got about through the blues, maybe started the purples on the plane. I can't remember exactly. And then I finished the rest of it after that, and thank goodness that Danny's yarn matched well enough for me to be able to finish this, because I didn't want to try to dye something that matched for just those 2 lines. So this is definitely going with me. It is very happy and rainbowy, and so I'm excited to take that with me to VKL and trim the ends a little bit more after they are blocked and we're sure where they're gonna land. So the other thing that I started, I had talked about quite some time ago, though I don't know that I did last time, was the Resistance Hat, which is by Kristen Nelson. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I took Cute Knitter, or Jasmine from the Knit More Girls. She had a link to, she had made some adjustments to the chart, added in the color, because the original didn't have orange in it, I think. So then I took Jasmine's and I went to work on it and changed things. I'm sorry for all the ums, I keep doing it. I changed stuff to go along with my faith, things that kind of tie in with the Presbyterianism, and also kind of updated some of the stuff I'll just show you. So the bottom part actually was like a chant that was used at the first Women's March, and I changed that to resistance is not futile. I felt like that went with everything, so I did that. Then I put all are created equal, and then to fill in some more of the space, I used a cross, an anchor, and a heart, which stand for faith, hope, and love, which is some of, faith, hope, and love is kind of a big time verse in the Bible. Then Mr. Rogers was a Presbyterian minister, and so instead of having the quote from the Statue of Liberty, I put, "Won't you be my neighbor?" We are told to love our neighbor, and so that, hence the hearts. Then for like the science and creation stuff, I put Inhabit Eden, which is actually a book that our denomination calls us to be stewards of the earth and to care for it. And I also put Love Creation. Then I kept the Black Lives Matter, and I just did like this, I don't even know what that would call. It looks almost like a fish if you do that, but it was just kind of a spirally thing. Then this line, I actually, Hear the Voices Long Silenced is part of one of our creeds. It was written by a Native American Presbyterian, Dr. Henry Fawcett. Well, he was one of the writers. He didn't only write it. He and his committee wrote this whole piece about hearing the voices long silenced, meaning from his perspective, of course, the people who were here before Europeans came. But in general, I thought that it was for everyone who hasn't had a voice. I thought it was a beautiful thing. It was part of the Presbyterian heritage, and it's somebody that I actually know that wrote this. He is a wonderful man, and he made our seminary church-going experiences very fun. He was very friendly. He has a lovely wife. She helped me a lot on my journey of figuring out what it meant to be a preacher's wife. Because I was kind of panicked when we went off to seminary and I couldn't play the piano. So anyways, and then this little symbol over here is supposed to be an olive branch, meaning like for peace. I really messed my hair up with that. Then with the, sorry, there's a cat trying to get into my pop. With the Me Too movement, I decided to use that hashtag and also My Body, My Choice. And then I kept the Love is Love, but I did revert. Oh, the other thing I did is I made all of the things an equal, every line an equal width. On Jasmine's, some of them were wider than others, and so I made them all the same height. And then this rainbow actually went from this pink row, it started in the pink and went up to the purple. And so I actually reversed that so that it's going purple to pink again, because I felt like having the pink next to it just made it look like the pink was huge, and so I reversed all of that. So that's my chart, and this also has not been blocked. So I also kind of tried to balance it out so everything wasn't starting at the same place. So like the all are created equal starts here, but Black Lives Matter is over here. And so it kind of moves around. So no matter where you are, there's some sort of message that you can see. I'm not the best at color work. I did get better with this. I got a lot of practice. But there is my resistance hat. I felt like it was not that there's a problem with being divisive, because there are some things that you should just stand up for. But I felt like this was a little, it goes along with things that I believe God calls us to. And I felt that it was a little more positive with the things. They're very meaningful things. Everything on here is meaningful to me. And so I really love it. I'm not sure how to block these two hats. I don't know if we have any balls that are the right size, but they definitely need to be. But I'm also going to take that. And for this, I did this in Knit Picks yarn. So the green, it is Knit Picks Stroll Brights. This was Sour Apple, Stroll Fingering White, Pucker. This is just black, I think. Yeah, just black. Dandelion, Vibrant Violet, Hot Tamale. I feel like there's one more in here. Yeah. And Razzleberry. I did have a problem with some yarn barf on several of them. Like, I could not get the ends out without it just absolutely barfing a ton of yarn. And of course, these lines aren't super huge, so I didn't need a lot. So then that's why so many of them have a bunch wound on them. But so that's my resistance hat. I also decided that I wanted to go ahead and make a sweater. I'm not really sure what really got me going, got me super gung-ho to do it, but I was just like, I need to do it, and I want to do it really fast. I don't know if it was because I did 2 hats and a shawl in a row that I was just like, okay, I'm ready for a garment. Sorry, I'm using the phone for hair fixing. Anyways, I decided to get out my Campsite Cardi by Alicia Plummer and start it. And I did not start it originally intending to do it for VKL, but if I had it, it was a bonus. I did go down a needle size, so I used a 7 for my main gauge. Then in the underarms, I doubled the amount that you cast on before joining. I did straight stockinette for 1 inch before starting the charts. The eyelets were supposed to start right away, and so I did that for 1 inch as I was decreasing out those extra stitches that I added. And then as far as the charts go, I left off any yarn overs that were within 2 stitches from the edge, just because I didn't want to distort it when I had to go back and pick up for the band. Lots of people didn't do that, but there were some that were 1 stitch away, and I didn't want to have, first of all, I didn't want to have the decrease that I was trying to pick up in, because I thought that it might be kind of bulky, it might be kind of confusing of what to pick up, and just having that so close, I felt like it would pull it. So it only mattered on a few of the charts, but I left those off if they were closer than that. The other thing was that I didn't really do the arms to like a measurement. I did all of my decreases as she called for. I did decreases immediately to get rid of the extra stitches, because I obviously picked up extra stitches. I had cast on 4 extra under each arm, but I picked up okay, there was supposed to be 4 and I did 8, and I picked up 10, because I always feel like you need an extra stitch down there to kind of close up the holes and gaps. And so I decreased those out, did the regular decreases, and then I did 50 rows after that. And at 40, I put in a thumb hole, and then did the rest of the 50 rows, and then did my cuff. So this is made out of Lofty Loops DK base in Sunday Morning. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So here it is. It has not been blocked, so it's not like super looking great right now. But I started this on, I can't remember if I started it on Thursday or Friday. I had swatched and decided it had to have been Thursday or Friday. So it was either 5 or 6 days that I knitted this entire thing and finished it. And here's the back with all of the things. Now, looking at the pictures, I'm going to put it this way so you can kind of see. Looking at the pictures, I do not think that my bottom lace looks like hers. At least, I did not look for specific sizes, because each size has some different, not each size, but there are different charts for different sizes. And the bottom of hers, her lace does not look like mine. Mine has like 2 next to each other, whereas hers look like there's more of a row in between them. And I tried to figure out why it didn't look the same. I think that it's just the size of chart that I was using. But I think that there should have probably been something that said, hey, this is not going to look just like the pictures of the sample. Because I redid it, I looked at the chart, everything, it seems like I did what the chart was telling me to do, but it does look different. Whereas like hers looks more like the rest of it, except it's closer together. And I don't think this looks like it. It looks different, but it's still fine. I think that this is going to be an extremely comfortable thing. You can kind of see the yarn a little bit from this. I like the squishiness of the DK. I don't think that I have used a DK weight for a sweater yet. So this was a pleasure, and truthfully, even if it was the 6 days, I am super happy with how fast I cranked this out. And being a 5'9" woman, I'm very happy to have super long sleeves that will have a thumb hole and will go, it will still be up on my hand. The other thing that I do like about where I placed the thumb hole and stuff is that if I do choose not to be using the thumb hole, I can easily roll down this cuff a little bit and have a more normal length cuff that's out of my way, and it will kind of keep it there. But I really kind of like this hand warmer thing going on. So anyways, I'm very happy with that, and I'm super excited to take that to VKL with me. And Allison from Lofty Loops is one of my roommates, so if she ever finishes her own, then she and I can be sweater twins. Okay, that is all of my finished objects. My, we'll call it 6-day sweater, but 2 hats and a shawl, which actually seems like a lot, but I also feel like I made something else in that time and now can't remember what it was. And anyways, so the next thing that I cast on, I think on Saturday, for some reason I I've been thinking a lot about what I want to take to VKL to wear. At the end of the season last year, my coat's zipper had broke and it didn't really fit me very well anyways. So I tossed it, and we haven't bought a coat again yet because I don't really need it yet. I can still wear kind of like a heavier jacket and be fine here. But like the high, I think the highest high might be 32 or 34 while we're there. And having lived in Dubuque, Iowa, I know that that area feels really cold. I don't think it's as windy as it is here in Nebraska because all it does is blow like crazy here, but it is cold. So the convention center is across the street from our hotel. I don't think we're going to be outside very much, but we are going to the Mall of America. We're going to a tour of somewhere. Is it Blue Sky? I cannot remember, but I will try to share with you what that was. Anyway, so I've been trying to think of things that would be not super huge to take along, but would be warming and look pretty and things like that. And for some reason, I was really wanting something hot pink. And so I decided I had bought the kit for the Empalme cowl. It is a pattern by Cassandra Milani and is made in Manos del Uruguay. I had bought this like kit from Craftsy in 2014, I believe. It is in their silk blend, which is 70% extra fine merino wool, 30% silk. And the pattern calls for 4 skeins, but the kit gave you 3. And so I was like kind of confused by that. And then I searched a whole bunch because I was like, well, maybe I misplaced the other one because it's been 4 years. But I didn't find it anywhere. And then so I looked on project pages, and a lot of people said that they didn't have enough yarn for what the pattern called for. So the pattern calls for 13 repeats. I've done 7. And this colorway is called Cactus Flower. It uses short rows in these stockinette-ish sections. Sorry, my needle is hitting the tripod. And then they have the Trinity stitch, and then it just repeats over and over again. I did all of 4 repeats and just like this much right here of the next repeat, just 3 rows. And so I probably will only get 12. I did not check gauge, but pretty much everybody said that they only did 12, which I think will be fine because it's a cowl and it's already, it could already touch and be comfortable. I mean, that's quite a bit still. So I think it'll be fine. I did decide to slip on the edge. There's not a finish that you go back and pick up or do anything. And it will, judging by the way that it is as I'm knitting it, it kind of rolls in. But I just wanted to have that little extra finish when it does show. So I'm doing that. It's very soft. It's a like single-ish type. I don't know if it's necessarily an actual single because it does have silk and nylon mixed together, but it's really fuzzy, it's really soft, and it is a bunch of yarn that will be out of my stash, and I'll have this pretty pink cowl to wear. This will probably go with me as an object. I don't know, because of other plans that I have, I'm not sure that I will be able to finish this before we leave. I have done 7, which means I have 5 more, and I just started it on Saturday. I think there has to be something that I was knitting on in between that sweater and this cowl. I know there's something. I can't remember what it is. Anyways, so I'm working on this. I'll probably take it with me if I haven't finished it, because I would probably be able to finish it there if I haven't finished it before. I did not do a provisional cast on. It doesn't tell you to. A lot of the project pages said that they did. This is what I have left of this second ball. And then there's one other ball in the bag. I decided I just didn't want to deal with that. I just wanted to go and do it. So I got busy on that so that it would hopefully be ready for me to take. Excuse me for 1 second while I get sustenance. Are you being on the podcast today? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we will be driving from Lincoln, Nebraska to Minneapolis, Minnesota. Also, each night there is going to be like knitting in the lobby or something like that for the group. And obviously it's a knitting convention, it's VKL, so everybody there is going to be knitters, and so I think that there will be a lot of knitting time and stuff to do because people all love that. So I had a hard time because I was also very excited about having knitting time that would not be interrupted by little kids. However, I decided not to do difficult things that I would do away from the kids because I feel like there will still be a lot of distraction of talking to people, and I don't want to mess something up and have to rip it back and have that frustration. So what I decided to do was take a pair of socks that I can just knit on, an unpatterned pair. I'm gonna lean out for 1 second and bring this stuff over. Ugh. Sorry. Okay, so the socks that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make out of this Christmas yarn that my friend Andrea brought me back from Austria. And I think I'm going to do them on 9-inch circulars and probably do like a 3x1 rib across the top because I want them to be like boot socks that stick out of my boots. So I also bought the pattern Fluorite, which is not a new pattern by Andrea Mowry, but it is newly independently published. It was in Pom Pom magazine, I believe. And so I got that pattern, and it is for a pair of socks, and she does have they can be either boot or knee socks. So I decided to go ahead. I'm going to take this pattern with me, and it's for a faded sock. You can kind of see it here. You may have already seen it on Instagram. It's obviously in black and white. But I was going to see what kind of circumference changes she does when she's doing something that's supposed to go up out of your calves. I have small feet for my height, and they are kind of skinny. And so I have a problem of socks that fit my feet and going very far up my calves. I need to be making socks a little bit longer because what I mostly wear as pants are actually Old Navy maternity leggings, and so where they end on my legs, my socks are not going quite up to there. But the socks that I do have that go over there, they're pretty tight over my calves. And so I needed some guidance because I do want these to go up and stick out of my boots. So I am going to use the increases that she has for her knee length to make some Christmassy socks. And I figured because this is already in a ball like this, I can do one at a time and just do that simple rib on the front to kind of help it suck in a little bit where it needs to, and then I will be close to having a pair of Christmas socks before December comes along. So that's one project that I'm going to take, and I will probably take some magic loop needles with me for this in case I get sick of it, but I prefer magic loop when I'm doing 2 at a time socks, which is how I prefer to do most of my socks. But when it is something where I am not paying attention to it at all and I just want to like go and go and go and go, then I usually use the 9-inch circulars when it's like 1. That's what I did when I made socks during convocation at Synod School, and it worked really well because I didn't have to pay attention until I got close to the heel, then I did the heel, and then so the next morning I was ready to go up the leg, and I really didn't have to pay any attention at all. Actually, I think I went the other way. I went from the cuff down with those, but the point is I didn't have to pay attention, and I don't like having to move the cord for half of a sock. It does not bother me when I've knit across the fronts of 2 socks and then I move the cord to do the 2 backs, but doing it after a front, after a back, after a front, after a back, for some reason annoys the crap out of me. I'll probably take them just in case I change my mind, but most likely I'll be doing them on 9-inch circulars. So the other thing that I'm like, okay, well, I may get tired of doing a sock. I don't want to limit myself to just that. And the first sweater that was supposed to be on my agenda for the winter time, for the fall time, is the Pavement Sweater by Vera Valimaki. It's a very simple sweater, and I feel like it's something that I could make look dressier, but also that I would be completely comfortable wearing it around the house. And so I decided that what I'm going to try to do is cast this on and get the yoke to like the underarm so it's joined, so that I'm just like doing the like 15 or 16 or 17, how many ever inches of straight stockinette. It's a big round circle. You can just go round and round. It's stockinette, and I think that will be really simple and even less worrisome of messing something up or paying attention to other people than socks will. So I had slated some of the gilt yarn that my husband brought me back in April when he went on vacation. He says it was continuing ed, but it was vacation. Well, it was continuing ed from church, but from me, it was vacation. So he went to Jimmy Bean's Wool, and literally everybody in that whole group ended up being knitters by the time that they were done having that group, which this year was the last year, but I think they're going to try to do one more extra. Anyways, they had a whole bunch of Madeline Tosh. They had a lot of trial colors. They had a lot of exclusive stuff. I have no idea if this one is or not, but this is the Twist Light from Madeline Tosh. It's 75/25 fingering weight, and this is fur wreath. And so it's kind of almost like jeans with grass stains on it. Like, I don't know how else you would describe this. That's a pretty good rendition. I told him green, and he came home with this blue and green, and I was like, okay. But I had put it away. I was like, okay, that would be really good for the pavement. So I put it away, and truthfully, I haven't been in my yarn cabinet very much except to like grab a random skein of sock yarn out to start working on something. And when I decided that I was going to go for the pavement to take to VKL, I got this back out, and I actually like it more than when he first brought it home. I think it will be a nice, it'll be a nice looking sweater, and there'll be more variety in it, but I'm pretty excited to use this. I don't think that I've knitted with Mad Tosh before. Yes, I did. The speckle in my dad shawl was Mad Tosh. Gemini twins, yeah. So I have 4 skeins of this, and I did do a lot of searching because the other sweater quantity that he brought me back from that same trip, he brought me 5 of that one, and so I assumed that he also brought 5 of this one. So I'm not sure, because I was like, why would he buy me 4 of one and 5 of the other? And so I thought that I was missing one, but I did the math, and I have like 250 extra yards in these 4 than I actually need for the pavement. And I think the other one, there might have only been 5, and so he just bought all 5. The other one is a single, and he's like, well, I thought maybe you could make socks that match your sweater. And I'm like, I don't think that I'm gonna make socks out of a single ply 100% 100% merino yarn, but thanks, honey. And actually that one too, because I pulled it out because I'm like, okay, there's 5 of them for sure. But anyways, I did like that one more even than when he brought it to me. Its base is kind of a tan, and I'm not really a tan girl. Literally, like, I'm super white. But also, like, none of my clothes are tan. But I've really been getting... Hey, don't chew on that. I've really been getting into the kind of olivey green as my neutral. As one of my neutrals, but as, like, my colorful neutral. And so it really goes with the tans more. Anyways, I really liked that one more than when he brought it home as well. So I don't actually have a plan for that one yet. Possibly the sweater that Hohi is wearing in the last, what is that called? Their book. Hers and Vera Valamaki's book. Oh my goodness, I'm having total brain fart day. That's what I get for podcasting on a Sunday after church. This is what you end up with. Sorry, guys. It's not impressions, interpretations. There we go. She had one, and it had kind of a lacy front, and it has the ties, and I think it would look really pretty in that, but I'm not totally sure. Anyway, so I'm going to try to get through my yoke and have it joined, so I'm just working on my body while I'm traveling for VKL. I have a little bit of homework. I need to do a 2-color cast on and do like 6 rows in DK weight, double knitting. Don't drink my pop. This cat has a pop obsession. Sitting in front of this window means you can see all my like crazy curl flyaways. I am wearing my Mega Rose shawl. I should probably mention that in case anybody cares. This was also done in One Twisted Tree Chaotic Neutral. And I believe that this mini skein set was from Midnight Cravings. It was like a pastel rainbow, sort of. But it goes all the way through the colors. I just had to wrap it a million different times to keep it on while I was worshiping with children. Goodness, I'm so sorry about all these ums. Oh, and the thing that I will be putting my sweater in is my flamingo bag from my Creative Garage. It is like my favorite. This is my best size of bag. My Mrs. Brown's bags I like to use to throw everything in, especially like a trip, or use it as a purse at a place, like at a yarn festival or something, or going to knit night where you're taking something, where you're showing something off and you're also taking something to work on or something for advice. it's a good size for that. It's not great for just like having, like throwing your project in and that being the only thing. Except when, of course, I was doing my fading point wrap. That's something that I should definitely take to VKL. That's really pretty. And I have not worn it yet because it is enormous and it's just now kind of cold enough to start doing the knits. Also, even if it was cold enough outside here, I run my butt off at church, and so I'm usually like dying of heat stroke by the time I'm sitting in the pew. Anyways, this is my perfect size. Also because I do 2 socks at a time, most of the bags that are sock size they're not lovely for me. Between the extra long cords and the needles and 2 socks and splitting the yarn into 2 cakes, I feel like I'm really jamming stuff in there. This has been good for everything else. I really appreciate having the extra room, and I really love these bags. I actually need to look and see if she has any other prints. I do have a unicorn, and did I just get 2 or did I get 3? I can't remember. She's in Australia, and so I know that I got at least 2 because I didn't want to pay for more shipping, but it might be something to put on my Christmas list if she has some more prints that I would really love. Well, actually, I wonder if I should have checked my mail before I said this, but I couldn't show you anything anyways. One of the things that I've started doing is that a lot of the people in our church are not old at all, but older than us, where their kids are grown, they have grandchildren, or they're starting to have grandchildren. Some of them are retired, some of them are really close to retiring, some of them own their own business and they're farmers, so they don't really retire. But they have the means to be able to travel around the world. Whereas my husband is a preacher, I'm in my mid-30s, he's in his late 30s. I like to remind him of that a lot. And so they're traveling to lots of different places, and I have made the habit of when we go places getting souvenir yarn. And so a couple of them that I'm particularly close to, I've asked, hey, you're going to this really cool place, will you get me some yarn? Here's money. And I had shown, I think at the very beginning of the podcast, some French yarn that a couple had brought back to me. And then this time they went to Spain, but I didn't really have the funds to be like, hey, will you just go buy me some random yarn in Spain? And so I didn't ask her. And so when she came back and she came up to me after church and puts this brown paper package in front of me, I was like, what is this? And then I opened it and realized that she had brought me yarn from Spain. So this is a commercial yarn that's made in Spain. It's Cadia Merino Tweed, and it is a worsted weight. So I was very excited about being able to, she got me 7 skeins of it. And I got really excited. I'm like, I wonder if I could do a short sleeve sweater or something. And I have not actually found something that I want to make with it yet. It is 87 yards in 50 grams. And so 7 of them, it's too much to just waste on a cowl or a hat or anything like that. I didn't really find a good shawl for it. I was really wanting some sort of nice, chunky, I don't know, tweed just makes me think of cables and chunkiness. And so I couldn't find a sweater for me yet that was in that kind of right frame. So I'm not sure. I'm sort of considering making a sweater for my child. But it's also my gift yarn, so I kind of hate to do that. I don't know. I can't decide. It would be good for a kid. I did look on Ravelry and online, and I was unable to find this particular kind. Even the places that had the merino tweed didn't have this color. So I haven't decided what to do with this. If you have any ideas, I can't remember. There's 70 of them, and there's 7 of them, and there's about 90 yards. 87. So if I had like 2 or 3 more, I would be set, but I did not find any that I could get or add to it. But I thought that was a very precious. She did it without me asking. So sweet of her, and made me feel so loved at a time where I was really struggling and having a bad month. And so that was a beautiful thing. The other thing that I was going to talk about real quick is it's almost time for Christmas, and I don't normally make a big deal about making gifts. This year I do think that I want to make somebody everything. We're going to maybe do the minimalist gift thing where it's something to read, wear, want, need, and maybe a do, like something to do. And so I've been trying to think of that, and I am leaning towards Isaiah, the socks that I made for him. He's literally been wearing them nonstop since I gave them to him. And he wears them so many times that I have to tell him it's time to take them off and change your socks so those can be washed because they're like molded to your foot now. So I think I'm going to make him another pair of socks, even though he already has one, because he, of all the kids, is obviously using the knits that I made him. So I was super happy about that. Lizzie and Violet, I have not made socks for. Everybody, the other 3 have gotten socks, so I'm going to do socks for them. For Violet, I think that the socks will be tube socks. Based off of Knitting Expats toddler socks pattern. She made some tube socks, and I think that's a good idea for a baby so that the heel isn't really there and your heel just moves back as it needs to. I think that would be good for her because she has really skinny little legs and feet. I don't think that they would fit her very well if I put a heel on them once she grows. I don't necessarily think she's going to get that much bigger around for quite some time, but she obviously her feet will get longer. So Isaac and Emma are the ones that I have left. So the almost 4-year-old and the almost 11-year-old. And I am seriously considering making a sweater for Emma. She would probably like anything, but I'm considering making like there's a new pattern coming out that's in test knitting right now. That's the worsted sock arms. So I was thinking about doing that for her. Possibly getting a self-striping Harry Potter colorway for the sleeves. But I'm not completely sure of that. I think it would also be fun, and she would love something that has like a ridiculous picture in the front of it. But truthfully, the sock arms and worsted weight sounds a lot easier. I have not ever made her a sweater, and I think she's old enough now that she would appreciate it, and also I can make it a little bit bigger for her so that she's not outgrowing it super fast. And then for Isaac, I really just can't decide what to do. I can't decide if I should make him a little sweater, possibly with my Spanish yarn, or another pair of socks. He is so cute when he tells me to knit and gets excited about me making him something, so I want to make him something too, obviously, but I just haven't decided what to do with that. The only other yarn porn thing that I was going to have is my advent calendar has been shipped. So it's probably a good thing that I am leaving this weekend, so that's like a whole nother like week that I won't be staring at it before I can start opening it on December 1st. Last year the kids made me let them take turns opening it, so this one seems a lot lighter. I don't know how much of it I'll get to open myself. So I do have a couple of questions for you if you'd like to answer them down below. Obviously like and subscribe, but let me know if you're going to VKL and you're not one of my roommates, because I know you guys are going. Also, I'm kind of curious how people feel about Vlogmas. I did watch quite a few last year. Over this summer and fall, have been too busy to really keep up with podcasts in general, but then several people that I have subscribed to were doing like Vlogtober, and truthfully, I have not been able to watch any of them because it was too overwhelming and I did not have time. I know that a lot of people do Vlogmas. I was thinking about it. So if you are interested in that, if you feel like that is something that you would watch that would be enjoyable, I'm just curious, as I consider that Christmas is coming up, or the month of December at least is coming up in just like 3 weeks. The other option would be to do it in the story. Instead of doing it on YouTube, do it on the stories, but then it's kind of gone, I think, on Instagram. I don't know. I don't know how that works because I don't really know how to do that very well. I feel like there was one more question, but I don't know what it was, so next time I will try to remember it. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you enjoy your knitting and you're staying warm. Goodbye, friends.